Welcome to the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast. I'm your host, Case Charania.
I'm Shaban Samani.
I'm Saif Basaria.
And I'm Asad Lalani.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels great going first and introducing myself.
Why you think I like going first?
All right, but to just start off, you can find us on all social media at WBEM Pod and on YouTube at the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast. Or if you're here from Spotlight Sports, you can find us wherever you find them. So just a quick agenda for today. We're going to go over the All-Star team draft, and then we're going to hit the trades. Trade deadline was at 3 Eastern today, and we have everything we need. We had some splashes, we had some duds, we had some confusing trades this year. Or not confusing, just shit we didn't like. And then we'll get right into it. We'll give everyone a grade, and then we'll let whoever wants to talk. And we'll start off with the All-Star teams. And you guys need to go watch this video on YouTube if you haven't already, because it is fucking great.
Absolute money. LeBron is a menace to society.
LeBron is a menace to Kevin Durant. That's what it is at this point.
Yo, can y'all do something really quick? Could you go to Bleacher Report right now and see how dirty they did LeBron right now? The dude straight up looks like he's 137.
For real.
All right, we don't need the distraction, Shaban. I'm sorry, but LeBron picked first, and his team rounds out very well. So the starting five for Team LeBron is Giannis, Stephen Curry, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, of course, and Nikola Jokic. Any problems there, fellas?
No, I think it's a good lineup. Him taking Giannis, Curry, and really Jokic is stupid. You would argue those are probably the other three best players available, and he was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna take them all.
Yeah, and then the starters for Team Durant are not Kevin Durant because he's hurt, but it's Joel Embiid, John Morant, Jason Tatum, Andrew Wiggins, and Atlanta's very own Ice Trae Young, which is a good lineup if you look at just the players, but when you look at the other side, it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, it was always going to happen where whatever team Andrew Wiggins was on, and that team was going to suck. So maybe
the best part was he didn't even get picked. He was an auto draft.
Yeah, you know what's even funnier is when Kevin Durant was told by Ernie Johnson that he was getting Andrew Wiggins on his team, he was like, "Wait, Wiggins is here? I thought that was a joke, guys." He did not look like he was like, "Who's
you should have seen the
guy?
look on his face.
He was like, "Who the fuck is on this team?"
To be fair, Kevin, when we saw the name, we thought it was a joke too. But it turns out it unfortunately was not, because Warriors fans are delusional.
It's the greatest troll job in NBA All-Star history. That's all it is. It's not the Warriors' fault that our system is flawed. It's our fault. We fucked up, and now the Warriors fans made us pay for it. The Warriors fans and K-pop fans somehow.
What?
Yeah, so that's the story. That's why Wiggins is a starter. There's a K-pop star. I don't know the whole story perfectly, but he retweeted, was like, "Oh, retweet for Andrew Wiggins."
Oh my god!
He's boys with Andrew Wiggins or something along those lines is the story. And then K-pop fans, as you know, are very passionate, and that's really how he became an all-star starter. It wasn't technically Warriors fans, although I'm sure it was. But K-pop fans they took it off.
Their next level. Wow.
By the way, that K-pop star is now the Warriors' global ambassador.
Of course he is. What's even crazier is the NBA came out after the All-Star starters were announced, and that single tweet by that K-pop star supporting Andrew Wiggins' All-Star case was the most retweeted All-Star voting tweet in the history of the NBA. Obviously, this track record is not ultra long, but that singular tweet got the most votes ever, which is just nuts.
That's ridiculous. So we know how to ban K-pop now. Got it. And we'll just move on to the reserves. For Team LeBron, you have Jimmy Buckets, Luka Doncic, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Fred VanVleet, and last but not least,
we should wait.
Very polar.
Just don't even talk about him.
James Harden. All right, next. And then on Team Durant, LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, Rudy Gobert, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, Dejounte Murray, and Karl Anthony Towns.
My guy has a monopoly in fucking big man.
And he still needs one. He still needed one more big man, bro. Okay, tell the listeners about this whole James Harden, Rudy Gobert.
Okay, so I'm gonna spoil the end of the episode a little bit here, but James Harden was traded today from the Brooklyn Nets, who Kevin Durant happens to be the head coach of.
Okay.
I'm just fucking around. He's their star player, but James Harden sat on the board, which he wouldn't most years until the very end, and LeBron's openly fucking with Kevin Durant, picking anyone and everyone but James Harden. And it boils down to two people: the French fuck Rudy Gobert and James Harden.
I love how you call him the French fuck.
I hate him. Let's be honest here.
We know.
We are
And
very
Kevin
well
Durant
aware.
just staring at the screen,
Oh, dude.
dumbfounded, like, how is James still up there? He's like, I don't know, man. They got LeBron and Giannis. I might really need some size inside to solidify the defense. So he picks Rudy Gobert, and LeBron James is laughing his ass off behind the clipboard.
Mhm.
Arnie, Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny are dying of laughter. And eventually James Harden gets to be the last pick and goes to team LeBron.
So good. So good.
Gold. This is
Even
it's
funnier
straight
is like
comedy.
it shows LeBron's like veteran status because he came ready with a clipboard. He's like, I'm gonna fuck this man up, bro. Like he put together this whole ass team and they're supposed to beat everybody in the conference, in the league. And now look, it blew up in their faces, and I'm gonna have fun with it for like 2 minutes here.
just to get you out of your misery, just for a minute, just to step into it.
Exactly. It's like LeBron, we are like 5 games under 500, and you laughing like that is probably the highlight of my season. I'm not gonna lie. That was the best moment all season.
It is.
You know what it is? It's like LeBron being one of the greatest basketball players ever, obviously like a billionaire and all success and all that. But in that moment, he was one of us. He was laughing like a child, like we would have in that moment too. He was trolling Kevin Durant like any one of us
I
would have
mean,
loved
we were
to
also
as
laughing like
it's like
children.
it's like LeBron did in that moment. Well, we would have enjoyed as well. So it was such a good moment. I enjoyed that. Great. Thank you for that, LeBron. We might miss the playoffs. We may have a lottery pick. I don't know, but thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Well,
And
we won't
thank
have a
you to the-
lottery pick. New Orleans will.
And also thank you to the person who had this idea of having an all-star draft.
Also,
You're welcome,
yes,
Shaban.
yes, it is funny.
All right, let's move on to the meat of today's episode.
Hey, yo.
Trade deadline
Hey, yo.
reactions.
Okay, I'm
I-
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm done with Safe. Safe, you don't get to talk on this
Kays, you have
trade.
to understand. If I'm not hosting, I'm playing the role of Kays.
Trust me, you don't want to get in that headset. All right, so we're just going to go over all the trades that happened starting February 4th, which is when the Clippers got Robert Covington and Norman Powell. Safe, look, Covington's first on this fucking list too. And sent the Blazers Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a second round pick. So, listener, we split the trades up into two here. Me and Safe are handling the West. Shaban and us are handling the East. So, Safe, talk about this one for us.
I mean, look, this was a straight up fleece. It was when it happened. A lot of Blazers fans defended it because it seemed as though there were more moves to come. There were more moves to come, but it had nothing to do with this trade here. So I still stand by it. It was a fleece. It was a fantastic move by the Clippers. The Clippers are stuck, right, with their team in the sense that they have a Kawhi, they have a Paul George. Hopefully both will be healthy back in the NBA next NBA season. So they need to build for the future. They don't have any trade. They don't even have their pick this year. So they're not incentivized to tank. So picking up a Norman Powell is actually solid for them offensively. And he's a pretty decent defender. Robert Covington is on an expiring contract. So bringing him back is an option. And they have the richest NBA owner in history. So I'm sure they're not cared about the luxury tax at all. A fantastic deal for the Clippers. On the other hand, unless you really loved Keon Johnson as a Blazer fan, I'm not really sure what the whole move here was. And it seems as though they did really love Keon Johnson. That's the entire deal. Eric Bledsoe's an expiring contract, if I'm not mistaken, next season. Obviously, the remainder of this
Everyone
season.
but Keon Johnson is expiring.
Yeah, so it's like Justice Winslow's a flyer. He's still, I think, 25 years old, so he's still relatively young. Yeah, sure. Let's let him run for the remainder of the NBA season, see what happens. Eric Bledsoe will be expiring next season. Keon Johnson, obviously the young player. The second round pick was a bit surprising. I thought they could have got a first, but it's quite clear that they probably did their due diligence and they realized the price of those two players was not as high as they probably intended for them to be. So yeah, I think the Blazers lost this deal, but for the Clippers, this is an absolute win for me. I think, Case, we talked about doing grades for this podcast here today.
I was gonna bring it up after I made my point.
Okay, yeah. So then I'll wait. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I think the Clippers deboed the Blazers. It's pretty fair.
Yeah,
I don't
Debo?
care. Yeah, they got deboed.
What the fuck does that
as
mean?
as in Debo Samuel? Like
No, Debo from fucking Friday. What are you guys on?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Oh.
All right. We're
Like
with you
snatch
now.
your chain, Debo.
Yeah, got it.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, all right. Y'all are slow.
Sorry.
And I don't care how much you like Keon Johnson at this point. You did not get anything good back from this trade.
Yeah. And
So
I mean, like,
for the Clippers, you get an A. The Blazers, you get an F. I'm not even going to be nice about it.
I think I would agree with you. The Clippers getting an A. For the Blazers, I would go like D plus because they still
Yeah.
did get a young player who the reports coming, by the way, out of Portland was they did want him in the draft. So getting him a little bit late, still a win in my book, but not a huge win.
yeah, I think you guys nailed it on the head there. I think like if you look at like Portland in its totality, they had like a pretty solid trade deadline, but this trade on its own, I don't really know like what it does for them.
I was shocked because I mean the Rockets got 2 first-round picks for Robert Covington when they traded him away. So I expected that at least Norman Powell would return 1 first-round pick, or Covington would at least warrant 1 from
I'm
some.
pretty sure
contending
Portland
team.
gave up 1 to get Powell.
They
Yeah.
did. They did. Gary Trent. I don't think Portland had first round picks to give out, obviously, to receive either. The Clippers did not have any. But I think the funniest thing is that you're bringing up the Houston thing, which is at least worth looking at. There weren't that many picks, like first round picks thrown around in this deadline really at all, right? Like there were very few and even less of real value.
Yeah,
So I think that's what we learned is I think a lot of teams made mistakes or relative mistakes last few years with first round picks, and they're going to get a little bit stingy about how they deal with them going forward.
also OKC probably has 75% of the league's first-round picks, so there's that.
They have,
That's a good point.
there's an actual number for this, and I'm going to tell you it's fucking hilarious. They have 43%
Oh, 43%. I thought you were about to say 43 picks, bro. I
over
was like, that's
the next,
that's more than an entire first round and almost
over
enough-
the next 6 years. They have 43%
That's
of the
just
league's first round
ridiculous.
picks.
Absolutely
Oh my,
ridiculous.
yeah, that's.
But let's move on to trade
stupid.
2. No one wants to talk fucking Thunder right now. The Cleveland Cavaliers made a play and went and got Karis LeVert and a second-round pick that belongs to Miami. And the Pacers got injured Ricky Rubio out for the season, a lottery-protected first, and 2 second-round picks. One is Houston's, one is Utah's. Eastern
Yeah.
boys, where y'all at?
This was a
So
good trade.
yeah, I agree. I think this was a great trade for both teams, really. Cleveland, they get a versatile wing. The Karis LeVert gets reunited with this boy Jared Allen. In Indiana, they're rebuilding. They get Rubio's expiring contract. They get a bunch of first round picks. So they have like a lot of assets
It
to
was
set them up.
1 first-round pick.
Oh, it was 1 first round pick, but it was like a few
1
it was
and
2
2
second round picks.
seconds.
Yeah, that's right. But
that Houston
know-
pick might as well be a first round pick. It's going to be like the 31st pick. or
Yeah,
30th.
it's a super early second round.
Very
yeah, it's
early
gonna.
second.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I think this is a pretty solid trade for both teams. I don't know, like also, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I think so too. So with the Pacers, they clearly, valued LeVert highly, to the point where the reports were that they wanted 2 first-round picks for him, which was on par with a Miles Turner. I didn't think that his Karis LeVert's value was that high, but the fact that they got 1 first round and 2 second rounders is pretty fair in terms of their asking price. And I think they got what they wanted. And Cleveland was happy to give that up, right? Because they needed another scorer, someone to help, facilitate the offense when Darius Garland wasn't playing. So they've got some depth on the wing. They've got a scoring threat. Karis LeVert's a decent defender. And Cleveland already defensively is really, really good. They just needed a more of an offensive punch, and they got that with Karis. So in my book, both teams get an A.
Yeah, I would say Pacers get an A. I would say Cavs get like a B plus, depending on how Karis LeVert performs. But the Pacers, I think especially with Ricky Rubio's expiring deal, that's going to be very important in another trade that's going to come up later on. That's
All right,
that
Safe.
the
It
Pacers
looks
are gonna
like you
make.
have something you're itching to say.
I do. So I think that this was. I think you guys nailed it on the head with. I think this is a double A for sure. The biggest thing the Cavs actually lack is they're one of the worst teams going to the rim in the NBA. And Karis LeVert actually has one of the highest efficiencies in the NBA going to the rim. And that's really what they needed, and they did get it in Karis LeVert. It's a very low risk trade for Cleveland because, like you guys said, it's a lottery protected first. They're not going to have a lottery pick this year. They're a playoff team, and we already know that. And then the second round picks, I think this is a knockout trade. I think it's fantastic. And I always wanted to bring it up is because Karis going to the rim is very big for them offensively. That's what they needed, and they got it.
All right, moving on to the first bomb drop of trade season. It was when the Pelicans traded for CJ McCollum, also getting Larry Nance Jr. and Tony Snell, and sending over the Blazers Josh Hart, longtime failure Thomas Satoransky, Nickeil Alexander Walker, and Didi Louzada. I don't know how you say his name.
What
Lose
did you
Ada.
just call it?
What?
Longtime failure.
What does that mean?
Everyone's tried to keep him, and he sucked, and they've moved on.
I-
And they
I
sent
agree with
over
that,
a
yeah.
first.
The idea
And
of
2
Thomas
seconds.
the idea of Thomas Satoransky is better than the actual player of Thomas Satoransky. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
long-time
Wait,
failure.
Do you want to break this down, or do you want me to go ahead and break it down?
Honestly, I'll say something, then you break it down.
Sure, absolutely.
I knew the Blazers were gonna blow it up. I did not think their first move would be sending CJ.
Yeah.
I thought they tried to move Nurk, and maybe they moved Powell earlier, so I guess they lost that leverage. But I thought some of the fringe guys were gonna go before McCollum went, and then just drop the bomb on us on I think Tuesday night, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Safe?
I don't know how much I agree with you. I thought CJ was going to get moved, and I guess what you're getting.
Oh no,
at
I'm
is
saying
that
I
you
knew he
thought-
was
yeah.
gonna get moved, but I
Yeah.
thought he'd get moved after they acquired some pieces.
Yeah, I guess you know what it is I really think the Blazers. First off, they have an interim GM, if I'm not mistaken, in the
Yep.
spot, right?
They do.
And then the owner is also kind of not a basketball oriented owner, with Jody Allen being the sister of Paul Allen, or
Yeah.
the ex-owner of the Blazers who passed away. So my point to all this is it's a very inexperienced team up there. And so I think that they thought that they were going to get a lot more for Norman Powell and Nurkic and CJ and so on and so forth. And I think they learned very quickly that teams did not take them seriously, because every trade they made, I really don't think they won any of them, right? I
They
think that's-
lost every single one.
Exactly. It was very consistent in how, look, you get Nickeil Alexander Walker, which you'll talk about later, but they did flip him pretty much immediately. Josh Hart's really the only good get here. Thomas Satoransky, like you said,
They flipped him too.
did they flip him? Oh, to
Yeah.
the Spurs or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, we'll pick
Yeah,
that
so
up
we'll
later.
get there when we get there. Yeah. And then they got a first round pick
and
and
2
two
seconds.
second round picks. And
Yep.
by the way, that first round pick is projected 1 through 4 and 15 to 30.
So if it's
only 5 to
5
14?
to 14, you can have it.
Yeah. And okay.
So I saw that. I looked at it, and apparently it's more common than you think.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. But yeah, I think for the Pelicans, I think this was a really smart move. The only reason why CJ isn't awesome here is because of the money he's on. But CJ as a player is a very good basketball player. And I think that many teams with like for example, the Boston Celtics would have killed to have CJ play next to Marcus Smart, right? If you have a defensive minded game plan here with another guard, CJ is a good fit, and he's unfortunately never really had that. And he also won't have that in New Orleans. But they needed some firepower to go alongside Brandon Ingram when Zion does come back. I think they'll be fun to watch. So I think from this, they didn't give up that much to make this deal done. And so I think B+ is the way I'll go with the Pelicans here. And again, for the Blazers, D+. I think this is worse than the Norman Powell trade because they didn't even walk away with a young player that they like,
Yeah.
right? And that's like, it's like at least in the other deal, you got the Keon Johnson, the guy that you did supposedly like. In this deal, they didn't get that either. So I don't love this deal for the Blazers. I'm not really convinced they know what they're doing, but I do love this deal for the Pelicans. I think Tony Snell, another defensive guy who may or may not get minutes over there. Larry Nance is out for the season. We found out earlier today, which kind of stinks, but hopefully he'll be back next season. CJ's a big pickup. I think he'll be good there.
It's hard to disagree with you. And I think I'm giving the same grades as you because I don't think they deserve a C on this trade, Portland being. and I don't think it's an A for New Orleans either. So
I
yeah, I think,
I'm
Go
willing
ahead,
to
Trevor.
give Portland a more favorable view on this than
Of course you are.
of course you are.
Of course you
and
are.
just because of one detail that you guys missed out on. Portland from this trade gets a $20 million trade exception. So that like on its own, like, and they get that first round, the protected first round pick and their 2 second-round picks. And like Nikhil Alexander Walker and Thomas Satoransky, they're both gone, but they have what, $60 million in cap space now, and they have a $20 million trade exception. This is not a move to set them up for like the rest of the season. This is a move to set up the off season and signing players and making
off-season when
off-season
Dame has to leave.
acquisitions.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but here's where I do disagree. Bobby Marks tweeted out earlier today that about 77% of trade exceptions go unused. This will be one of those trade exceptions. Or Portland is about 4 seconds away from pulling off a Oklahoma City Thunder situation where they just absorb bad contracts and accept picks into that $20 million or $60 million of cap. This Dame situation, the moment he's healthy, he should get out of there. Unfortunately, he won't. He'll just die a martyr. He'll just die a martyr now.
That's where you and I agree. I think this whole thing about Dame, like my heart's with Portland. I want to stay here.
Yeah.
Man, get out. Like that front office has done nothing for
We-
me.
All right,
all went from-
respectfully, Mr. Lillard, you're an idiot.
This is the thing, you know
Damn.
what it is. It's like I think all 4 of us in this podcast have either loved or really, really loved Damian Lillard, right? And I went from
The
loving
second
Damian
one.
Lillard in the last few months or so. I fucking hate Damian Lillard now.
I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him
I hate him. What? Why? Feel sorry for what? If he could ask out tomorrow or
for
not
being
tomorrow,
a dumbass.
he could have asked out yesterday and they would have traded him today. But he, for whatever reason, has this love for that city, which I'm sure it's a great city.
You know what? I know
Time
we're
to move
talking
on.
Portland, but Dame talk is not necessary right
Fair
now.
enough. We'll do in the
get to it.
offseason.
He's out for the season. Who cares? And another big trade, one that sent an entire franchise into disarray. The Indiana Pacers received Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson, and sent over to Sacramento Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, Justin Holiday, and a second-round pick.
Man, I'm glad me and us
Safe
are
cover the
covering
Sacramento
East.
side.
So hold on. Shaban and I are on completely opposing sides of this trade.
I know.
And
This is
you know
great.
it's about, I'm fully ready for your smoke, Shaban, because I have plenty to give you as well, my friend.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
think
Asa,
so.
do you want to sit this one out? Let him go at it.
No,
I
I
mean,
have.
you can give your thoughts. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
know, because I think based off of my guess here, Safe and I are on the same side with this one, where everyone on NBA Twitter lost their shit, right?
I think
know,
everyone lost their
They
shit.
all, look, we all like Tyrese Halliburton on this podcast. He is not a 2-time All-Star. He is not some bona fide
Yeah, exactly.
superstar.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
look,
he's not proven all that much.
No,
Again,
exactly.
he could be a very good player. Today, he is not the best player in this trade, and they're acting like they lost a fucking superstar. Like,
yeah,
relax.
and he's
Okay?
yeah. Tyrese Halliburton is not that. You know, Sabonis is 25 years old. He has established himself in this league. Tyrese may have the potential of the world, but in the position that Sacramento's in, where they have a lot of pressure from ownership, their fans, their
They
sponsors.
have a playoff mandate, bro.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
a playoff mandate over there.
Yeah,
for whatever
I
reason.
mean, they're a poverty franchise that needs to struggle to get out of that title, and they are doing whatever they can to do that. And yeah, they had to give up Tyrese Halliburton, but you get Domantas Sabonis, who is a phenomenal player and can be a very good building block. Whether or not, you know,
I mean, look, straight up, if we
This
take
is
out, if we
basically Sacramento.
oh, I'm sorry, if we cut Jokic out of the NBA for 1 second, is Domantas Sabonis not already one of the best big man passers in the league, not named
No,
Nikola
for sure.
Jokic? It's
Oh,
like,
passers, yes.
yeah, passers, passers.
between
For sure.
Draymond,
100%.
Jokic, and Sabonis are the top 3
It's
passing
like,
big men in
come
this
on.
league.
Embiid.
Sabonis, oh look, the only reason why I'm hesitant with this deal is because I'm not completely convinced what it does for Sacramento as a team this season, right? De'Aaron Fox is not a fantastic shooter of the 3-point ball. So even if Sabonis is setting it up, what is he setting up? De'Aaron Fox has had a career worst year right now. However, on paper, Domantas Sabonis is the best player in this deal. And in order to get the best player in this deal, they had to give up Tyrese Halliburton, yes, who they liked. They didn't like Buddy Hield, who's been trying to leave for 2 years, and Tristan Thompson barely played minutes for them. So they really only gave up one player that they considered of value here. In order to get Sabonis, Justin Holiday, who all of us think is a pretty solid NBA player, rotation guy, and Jeremy
won't
Lamb,
play a
who
single
could
game.
be. Oh, he definitely will. He definitely will, because Sacramento doesn't have the mandate that we thought. San Francisco does, not Sacramento.
Ah.
So
Yeah,
he
that's
will
why he
play,
played. He played.
And by the way, he played yesterday already.
yeah, I saw that.
And Jeremy Lamb, who's also a decent NBA shooter, right? A scorer in the NBA. So as a whole, I think Sacramento did indeed win this deal, but they both could win this deal. I think this is an A trade for both teams.
Agreed. I think that
I completely
Same.
understand Sacramento fans are disappointed by not having Tyrese Halliburton. I get that. And I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't be upset about it. I totally get where you're coming from. Tyrese is a solid young player, but let's not act like you ended up with Gogo Baratse from the Pacers for Tyrese Halliburton. You ended up with a two-time 25. That's the thing we're forgetting. A two-time 25-year-old all-star, one of the best big man passers in the league, and a solid scorer. And if you remember in the Oklahoma City days, he's actually a pretty decent shooter. If he can bring some of that back, he can become a cog point of Sacramento's future. Poverty franchise still, poverty franchise forever. Also, the one thing you said is they're trying to get out of it. They could win 10 championships. We still call them poverty franchise. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with what we're doing with Sacramento Kings.
yeah, because Sabonis played in such a small market, he was undervalued across the league in the eyes of many fans, many casual fans across the league. And for the Indiana side, talking about the East here, yeah, I mean it's true, right? Like
No,
you see
it's
the
true.
name-
Those are just fighting words.
yeah. For the Indiana side, if you're going to give up your best player, you might as well get something that is worthwhile. And Tyrese Halliburton is more than that, right? He's 21 years old. He's got these lofty projections, but he's a phenomenal player. In the time that De'Aaron Fox missed games for Sacramento, Tyrese Halliburton was averaging 20 points, 11, 12 assists a game. He was on fire. And being such a young asset, the sky's the limit for him. So for Indiana to give up Sabonis and get a potential all-star back
let's see if
Tyrese Halliburton.
let's see if Tyrese makes 2 all-star games by the time he's 25 years old. Let's go and find out. Let's see if he does what
All
Sabonis
right,
has
so let
already
me see
done.
your grade.
I'm giving an A to both teams.
Now, Shaban,
All right.
you're heated. Let me hear it.
Okay, I'm okay. Look, I was pretty heated. Yes, I was pretty heated about it earlier when the trade was announced. I have like softened on it because yeah, you are right. Domantas Sabonis is one of the best big man passers. He is a
I hate
two-time
that
All-Star.
you're qualifying him that way. All three of you. He's one of the best big men in the league.
Oh no, I agreed.
Yeah, for sure. But the passing is what differentiates him from other big men, in
Yeah.
my opinion. He's
Yeah.
elite as a passer. He's very
I'm sorry,
good.
I was
as a
just
big
getting
man.
tired of the qualifying big man passer.
Sorry, he's one of the best big men in the league. All right.
For sure.
And like the Pacers, I would give an A because they get a great young asset. They get Tyrese Halliburton was Sacramento's. He was their best shooter. He was their best perimeter defender. He was their best passer and playmaker. And
Was he really a better defender than Davion Mitchell this NBA season? I don't know the answer. I'm
actually,
literally
you know what?
asking.
He might not be as good as Davion.
I was like, is it Davion Mitchell's off night? Isn't that his nickname? Didn't Case give us that piece of information? A few weeks
Mr.
ago?
Off Night.
Mr.
Yeah,
Off-
Davion Mitchell is really good on defense. You know what? Maybe like he's probably the second best perimeter defender for
Take that shot.
Sacramento. And but as for Sabonis, as for the Sacramento Kings, I don't see it as like a bad trade for Sacramento as it is a very risky one and a very, I would say, short-sighted. And I honestly can't give a grade to the Sacramento Kings because I don't know how this is going to play out until 2 years from now. Like I
You
really
have
don't.
to give a grade.
You got to
I
give
can't-
it a
That's
grade.
literally the only
gotta
reason
give a
we're
grade.
If you're in the
fucking
middle,
here.
then that seems like a C to
That
me.
sounds like a C to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would say okay, fine. I would say a C because I don't know what's going to happen like 2 years from now when Domantas Sabonis becomes an unrestricted free agent. Like what's going to happen like between like this season, the next season, the season after? What they're going to win like 70 games over the course of the next 2 seasons and
would
be
be
maybe a first
such-
round exit.
That would be such a dub for Sacramento right now, considering they're 21-36 as we talk here today.
Yeah.
No, like I think that Sacramento has been rebuilding since what 2002, I think, for
One.
20 years, 2001, 21 years. So if we're talking about a short-sighted move, this is what they're notorious for. The difference is they actually didn't get fleeced this time, right? It's like there
Yeah.
are many times where
guess-
Sacramento has gotten absolutely robbed. This
Well,
was
you know,
not one
yeah.
of those times, which is why you ended up with the best player in the deal who's not 35 years old, right? They didn't trade for a player who's literally win now. 25, two-time All-Star, one of the best big men, like Kay said, in the league. I like this deal a lot for them, if not any other reason. The one thing, Kay's funny enough, we talked about in the offseason when they drafted Davion Mitchell, we were mad confused. And we're like, oh, they're going to trade Fox. They're going to trade Fox. Well, we thought they were going to trade a guard.
So I think the argument
the other
was
guard.
for us saying Fox was because he was older.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was
Mhm.
on the max deal.
And he was tied to Ben Simmons.
But yeah, so Shaban, you
Also
giving double C's?
No, I'll give Indiana an A. I'll give Sacramento a C.
Yeah, Shaban,
Okay.
Shaban's been brainwashed by NBA Twitter, so he's a big.
That's
time
what it
South
sounds
Party
like.
guy.
I have a hard time not giving this an AA.
Shaban, I'm talking shit, man.
Man, bro,
But let's move on. We've had enough of this. For now, let's get into a more complicated trade. A 3-team trade.
Was it 3 or was it 4?
This one's
It's
3.
three.
There's,
This
an,
one's
there's a
three.
4-team
It's
trade
3.
coming. You got to build it, you know?
God, we had so many like.
Yeah. So the
awesome-
Jazz got Nikhil Alexander Walker,
Mm.
who was just traded to Portland, but he was traded again, and Juancho Hernan Gomez. The Spurs get longtime failure, Thomas Sadaransky, who was just traded and got traded again, and a second-round pick. And the Blazers, they get Papa Joe Ingles, who got done dirty. He is out for the season. And just fuck Utah for trading that man. Elijah Hughes and a second-round pick. These are all Western Conference teams.
Yeah.
So I just want to rant real quick. Utah, this man gave you 8 fucking years of his life. And
I
the
love it.
second he gets hurt, you ship him off.
I don't need no man. I got 2 kids. I got 2 jobs. That's what
Nah,
Skate sounds
fuck
like.
that
right
shit.
now.
Nah, bro. Papa Joe deserved better.
He did. He absolutely
He's
did.
the
did.
most
did.
unathletic motherfucker in the league, and he'll still give you 25 a night.
Mhm.
He's just sad.
He's having
just
career.
angry.
He was having career worst year, and prior to the injury, they did discuss a lot of trade rumors with Joe Ingles because of his contract. So it's not ultra shocking they traded him here. It just sucks that obviously it would have been nice to see
The
him in Utah.
circumstances of which.
Yeah, exactly. And then his tweet was, "I'm heartbroken. I will love you forever." And obviously,
That's what
clearly-
really pissed me off.
Yeah, he has something special with that fan base. So look, they're gonna love him forever. It wouldn't shock me that once he's back and healthy, maybe he'll play there again. He's 35, so I don't know. But for this deal, I'll make it quick because it's not the most exciting deal ever. Portland, yeah, I think personally Portland gets an F here because the guy that they acquired, Nikhil Alexander Walker, specifically is a young point guard or shooting guard in the
They
NBA
traded
with,
him away.
with potential. I thought at least keep the young player you got in the CJ deal. Immediately they moved on. They didn't even think about it. So I don't know anything about Elijah Hughes. Joe Ingles obviously not going to play for them. A second-round pick from Utah or Memphis, which will be very late second-round picks,
You're
considering they're-
looking anywhere between 50 and 57.
something ridiculous like that. For San Antonio, C. It's very neutral. Getting Sadaransky makes no sense to me. They have a logjam at the guard position, potentially not anymore. We'll talk a little bit about it. But I don't think Sadaransky is going to play for them. But if he did play for them, he is the perfect Greg Popovich guy. Maybe Greg can get the idea of Sadaransky that everyone seems so excited about out of Sadaransky. The Olympic version of Thomas Sadaransky, second round pick, cool. But Utah, I think won this deal. I would give absolutely Utah because they screwed Joe Ingles over. I will give them a B instead of an A. Nikhil Alexander Walker is a player that can be a point guard off the bench, a distributor off the bench. And Juancho Hernan Gomez, I'm not convinced he'll get minutes, but even if he does, great, cool, good for them. What they needed to do was get depth. They did that in this deal. So you get a B here for Utah.
All right, so y'all want to give grades? I feel like this doesn't deserve more discussion.
I will. I want to bring up a point just about Elijah Hughes. I looked him up. I didn't
Go
know
for
much
it.
about him. Second round pick from Syracuse, 2020 draft, has played 14 games this season. During all the COVID stuff that was happening, he played a 41-minute game against Toronto where he had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, a block on 60% shooting from the field and 58% from 3.
Every
So-
dog has its day, man.
So
We had
there-
Lynn Sanity for 2 weeks. You're not
maybe.
gonna convince me on one game.
I mean, I'm
No.
sorry. I don't have to go for that far back. 48,000-year-old Lance Stevenson had a 40-point game just not
Yeah.
that long ago.
Earlier this season.
That's
Just
the thing, not that long
just
ago.
just throwing it out there just so you know that I mean,
Yes, he's
young,
capable.
23,
He got
but
drafted by the NBA. He's
I mean, you tell
capable.
me, us a dead ass. You like Elijah Hughes better or Nikhil Alexander Walker better?
no, definitely Nikhil Alexander Walker.
And
no
that's
question.
exactly where I'm at.
No question.
Yeah.
All right. This next. Oh, Shaban, my bad. I forgot about you.
No, I give Utah a B because like Nikhil Alexander Walker's very young talent, with, like loads of potential. Portland, I'd give them a D because like they did this trade for the same reason they did the last trade, which is more financial maneuverability, but like they didn't really need to get rid of Nikhil Alexander Walker. He's making like $3 million. San Antonio, I don't think Thomas Satoransky's staying there for very long, but they're just there for just to like they're to hedge their bets. And
You future
know.
Laker Thomas Satoransky, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
I think
He'll be our
Satoransky's gonna get
savior.
bought out.
All right, guys. So
Let's move on. This trade is.
I just want to bring one thing up. The Portland Blazers are like a Walmart version of the Thunder because they've accumulated 6 second-round picks, but only 1 first-round pick.
Oh my god, bro.
That's funny.
All
That's
right, this next trade,
I had no idea
we're
where you
not
were
even
going when
going
you
to talk
started.
about it.
funny. Okay.
I'm going to call your name. You give me a grade. It doesn't even deserve a grade. Let's be honest.
No,
Yeah, I don't think it
Shut the
deserves a grade.
fuck up.
no, because I know
Miami
each,
Heat get a second-round pick in 2026, and the Thunder get KZ Okpala. Shaban, grade.
I give a B to I give a B to both teams. It's a solid trade. KZ Okpala is someone that Miami's really liked, but there's just no spot for him on the rotation. Miami gets a nice second round pick out of him. I'd say it's a win-win.
All right, also the grade.
I'm giving a C to both. It doesn't really interest me. Move on.
give me
Safe
10
grade
seconds.
only.
Give me 10
grade
seconds.
only.
Shaban got more than fuck you. I like KZ Okpala. He
You
deserves
talk
some
a lot
respect.
though.
He deserves some respect. Look, Miami loved KZ when they drafted him. The only reason they made this trade is because he cannot crack the rotation. This is an A for the Thunder, and this is a C for Miami, considering the Thunder got him for literally free. We just talked about the bajillion picks they have, and they somehow still only paid a second round pick, even though they have 1,000 first round picks. I've done my piece.
Done.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
All right. I'm giving it a B to both teams. And then, all right, the 4-team trade, the one that's safe, is so interesting.
We don't get
The
4
mo-
teams all the time. This is fun.
The Bucks have acquired Serge Ibaka, 2 second-round picks in the future, and cash considerations. Sacramento gets Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson. The Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. And finally, the Detroit Pistons get Marvin Bagley III. The man who wanted out for the past 3 years, but couldn't get out. And when he did get out, they sent him to Detroit.
I like how you say that way. That's funny.
I don't have much to say, but I'm just going to give my grades.
Fair enough.
Milwaukee gets an A.
Mhm.
I think Sacramento goes B-. Same for the Clippers. And I'll give C+ to the Pistons because Bagley finally got out.
I would agree. I would actually give the Pistons a B. I think it's
B for Bagley.
B for Bagley. No, I think taking a chance on Bagley when he was clearly like unhappy in Sacramento, and I think that
But
I think
Shaban,
that's-
he's
I think
been
it's a
clearly
solid play.
unhappy for multiple seasons.
well, I mean, I'm
Bagley's
glad he's
not
out now. Like I think I still see a lot of potential in Marvin Bagley. I would love to see him in Dallas, but you know that's neither here
Sweet.
You'd
nor
love
there.
to see anybody in
Have you
Dallas.
visited your eye doctor recently, Shaban? Maybe that's why you're seeing kind of funny. You still see potential Marvin Bagley? What are you, his
I-
dad?
All right, that's a breakdown.
I'm sorry for those of you who don't know, his dad on Twitter is a great follow. His Twitter handle is Team Bagley. Very funny. Go follow him.
It's
Coach Bagley, bro.
All right, so break this down for me.
I'm a fan of Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles, and I think both have had pretty efficient seasons, especially Trey Lyles in Detroit. And to give that up to get Marvin Bagley, who, like we all think, doesn't have, except for Shaban, we don't think he has a lot of upside. I'm
I
gonna give
still
Detroit.
think-
I'm gonna give Detroit a D for this.
Marvin, I
D for
believe in
Detroit.
you. I believe in you, Marvin.
I don't. Yeah, D for Detroit. 'Cause I don't believe in Marvin Bagley. So
D for Detroit.
there's that. For the Bucks, I think Serge Ibaka is a great add.
Yeah.
So for Serge, also there was I think I saw some tweet where the Bucks are contending to have the most like African descent players like on their team. And apparently the African Twitter community is very proud of that. So good for them. And I think that's awesome.
Very cool. Did not know that. Learn something.
So with Milwaukee and the injury that Brook Lopez has, they expect Brook Lopez to come back at some point this season. They just don't know when. But because of Brook Lopez's injury, Bobby Portis has had to step up into the starting role, which he's done a really, really good job of.
Who leads the league in 3-point percentage?
Bobby Portis.
Is it Bobby Portis? Is it actually?
No, it's not.
He's
Wow.
It's crazy because he wasn't
He's
even
shooting
shooting
like
threes.
40,
I mean, look,
60%.
how you gonna miss the rim with those eyes, bro? Like they are so wide open. My man
They're about to
sees
pop out.
everything all the time forever.
He's
Yo,
got
what-
360-degree view, bro.
He's
Yo,
got
what
the
did-
best view I've ever seen in my life. Man.
Safe. What did your dad say about Bobby Portis?
Dude, I don't remember, but he saw Bobby Portis. I think it was when they were playing the Hawks in the Eastern Conference.
Was it
Final
how
last year.
old was this guy?
No, yes, that's what it was. He was like, "Is this guy 40?" Because Bobby Portis does look rather
But
old.
Bobby Portis is 26, people.
Yeah, I was like, Bobby Portis is actually really, really young in the grand scheme of things, but he does look old.
Also, it's NBA champion Bobby Portis.
Oh, that's
Yeah, put some respect on his
Put on his-
name.
Big facts.
put
Big
some
facts.
respect on his bug eyes.
All right, let's get back to this trade.
Also, finish up so I can go, please.
So right now, because of their injuries, the Bucks have Greg Monroe playing as their backup big. And I forgot that Greg Monroe was an NBA player, and then he came back, and I was like, "Wait, oh shit, I remember this
He
guy."
wasn't an NBA player for a very long time.
Yeah, he's 31 though. He's not that old, which I thought
Yeah,
he was
but-
older.
but
He's
he is
been
that
out the
washed.
league for like 4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he is that washed.
But now you get Serge Ibaka, who will be able to give you 15, 20 minutes off the bench, solid mid-range shooter, decent rim protector still, and just
Also a good
plug-
3-point shooter too.
Yeah, and he'll plug the hole until Brook Lopez comes back, and already added to a very talented and cohesive Milwaukee team that's rolling right now, especially with their big three all playing together.
For Marvin Bagley going to the Detroit Pistons, I personally am not a big Marvin Bagley fan, but if you're going to be a good NBA player or respectable one, this is the opportunity to do so. For that reason and that reason alone, I will give the Detroit Pistons a B for this one because you know what? You didn't give up a whole lot. You gave up what? Josh Jackson and I don't even know, a second-round pick from Detroit via Sacramento. So,
Josh
like,
Jackson, Trey Lyles, and a second-round pick.
yeah, you didn't give up that much. It's worth a go. Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles not a part of your future. Maybe Marvin Bagley isn't, but maybe he is. So fuck it. Why not? The LA Clippers receiving Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye was literally just a tax-based move. So they saved $30 million in luxury tax. For that reason, I mean, look, fuck you to the what's his Steve Ballmer for saving
Ballmer,
money
yeah.
and still having a great trade deadline because the Lakers got none of that. So screw you, but you deserve an A. So here's your A. The Bucks, I think this kind of sucks because DiVincenzo was considered one of their best young pieces, especially before his injury last year. He hasn't quite bounced back. He has not quite been the player that they hoped he would. And
He's been a step
unfortunately,
slow.
exactly. And unfortunately, his agent did actually go to Milwaukee and say, if possible, we would like a change of scenery, which is actually why I think this deal was done in the first place. I think Milwaukee probably wanted to keep him, but they also wanted to respect his wishes. And so they moved him on. They went and they said, you know what? Our big man, Brook Lopez, suffers from back problems. Let's get another big man who suffers
That
from
suffers
back
from
problems. That's exactly what they did. So yeah, I don't love that they got Serge Ibaka. I kind of wish they would have gotten someone with, I don't know, a little bit better.
They're reverse mavericking him. Don't worry.
That's a good point.
I'm not even going to explain that. You figure it out on your own.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know. We make this joke. Well, we're gonna make it again on this podcast not too long from now. But yeah, getting Ibaka, I guess it's okay. I just hate that they gave up DiVincenzo to do it. So Milwaukee, you get a B minus. Sacramento, I think you get an A. You gave up a player who didn't want to fucking be there, and you pulled off DiVincenzo, who still is a legitimately good NBA player who could be really, really good. Josh Jackson, Trey Lyles, they're kind of, I mean, look, they went from having no wings to all the wings in the NBA. That's what they just did here. So we'll see what they do with that.
All right, next trade. I don't think it's important. So I just want to breeze past this one.
It's important.
Celtics get a second round pick, The Magic get PJ Dozier and Bol Bol, a second round pick in cash.
Yeah, A+ for the Magic, F for the Celtics. Let's move on.
F for fuck the
Just for
Celtics.
shits.
Everyone agree?
F for
F
the
for
Celtics.
fuck the
Fuck the
Celtics.
Celtics.
And,
When you said the Walmart comment about, was it the Kings or
the
who?
Blazers.
The Blazers. I thought you were gonna say the Magic, because the Magic are just doing the same thing as the Thunder, where they're just hoarding all of these young players
Mhm.
and are like, fuck it, maybe some of these guys will be good. Most of them will probably
I mean,
suck, but we're gonna just
the
let them all
Magic-
run on NBA court and see what
Yeah.
happens.
The
Honestly,
Magic-
I think that Orlando really did this just for the pick and the cash.
Honestly, I think that's enough for this.
What's
trade.
even funnier is that pick that Boston received is top 55 protected out of 60 total picks in the NBA. They're not getting that pick ever.
What the fuck?
Smart. They literally just did it. For,
It's just a tax ploy.
yeah, they just wanted to get
Yeah.
out of the luxury tax, and they did do that. But fuck the
But-
Celtics, because I love Bol Bol. So
Bro,
whatever.
this is tax evasion.
All right. Let's see. I'm trying to find another throwaway trade. Here it is.
The Raptors
Rockets
trade?
acquire
Okay.
Dennis Schroeder, Enos Freedom Cantor, who was waived, and Bruno Fernando, who was being waived. And the Celtics received Daniel Tice.
Yo, Case, I got some breaking news. Can I read it right now?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Inez Freedom signs a max contract with Fox News, a 5-year deal.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
I just got the
Vaccine
Bleacher
not
Report.
required, baby.
Vaccine encouraged not to have.
Incredible.
All you got to do is not have the vaccine, talk about how much you love this country, even if it's had its flaws, and then shit
Even
on
if your last name's Freedom.
and then shit on LeBron James. If you can do that, you can work at Fox News.
All right. You got grades.
No, no,
Just
I
an
don't.
F
This is
all the
kinda-
way
this is-
around.
I mean, this
No,
is the
the
definition of a
Celtics. The
throwaway
Celtics
trade.
are like that guy or girl who keep going back to their exes. They're like, yo, Al Horford, go the fuck away. Actually, Al Horford, come right
I
back.
miss
I
Hey,
want you back.
Daniel Tice, go away. And then it's like, oh, actually, bring Daniel Tice back. They
I
know
don't
what they're-
really know why the Celtics did this, because this is not what they needed. They already had bigs.
It's just the money. It's
Yeah,
straight up
like,
just the money.
I guess, but I mean,
Yes,
for-
because $5 million was hurting you.
I'm happy as a Rockets fan, because now assuming
now they're $3 million under the luxury
for
tax.
Freedom, we free up the front court for LP to have more run, and no more Daniel Tice ever clogging.
I think
that
from the Celtics perspective, this is fucking stupid because you're right. They did not need a big man. And by the way, Dennis Schroeder was actually decent for them. They
Right.
just
He was-
lost
They needed a ball, like a point guard,
A
Dennis
bench
wasn't
scorer.
great. Dennis wasn't great, but he was something, and now you don't even have that anymore.
Yeah, they it's not like you replaced him. You have nothing.
And like I thought
tank
this
is
trade
on.
was gonna set up like Marcus Smart getting traded maybe
That's
to
what I thought.
Atlanta.
It
the
was
next- the
so
next-
late, though.
The next one is what we thought was getting the whole Marcus Smart situation.
Oh, well, I'm not going there yet.
Well, eventually we'll get there.
We're going to scoot back to the Raptors, who acquired Thad Young, Drew Eubanks, who was waived, a second round pick via the Pistons. And in return, the Spurs got Goran Dragic
They're waiting.
and a first round pick, lottery protected.
I pray with all my heart that the Spurs don't buy out Goran Dragic so Shaban can just sit there and take it.
I mean,
Honestly, I
Sit there and
I
take
like
it.
this trade.
I like this trade for San Antonio a lot. They pretty much turned DeMar DeRozan into 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually like how you put that. I think the Spurs, I think they probably get A- here only because they didn't actually get a playable player back, which kind of stinks. But because they're gonna buy out Goran Dragic, supposedly is what the news is. First round pick, dope. It's lottery protected. The Raptors are a playoff team right now, so they're probably gonna get that pick to convey, unless something changes. Thad Young, however, for the Raptors, I think is solid. Thad Young is a legitimate NBA veteran who, more than a lot of people, is physical and tough. And I think the Raptors embody that, right? With Scotty Barnes, with OG Anunoby, with Fred VanVleet, with even Pascal Siakam. They have a bunch of dudes who are like blue collar, hard nosed, physical players. And I think that Thad Young adds an element of that physicality. And he is probably one of the best small ball fives, even though he's 47,000 years old in the NBA still. And so I think he brings an element to the Raptors. They needed an actual big. I guess at some point they realized that wasn't going to happen. So they were like, let's at least get depth at this position. That's what Thad Young is. I love it. I think it's fantastic for them.
I think they're really buying into this small ball thing, and because they don't have any centers, and Thad Young is very much a Nick Nurse guy, like you said, fits that system and that culture really well. So it's a good move on both sides to me. I think I give them both an A-.
I think Toronto is gonna really love Thad Young. Like as a fan base, I think they're really gonna love having him there.
I agree, 100%.
All right, now let's go to the trade safe one to
Yeah.
talk about.
Fuck
The Celtics get Derek White. The Spurs receive Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford of 1 to 4 protected 22 first and swap rights on a 2028 first round pick.
2020. I didn't even see that. That's nuts. This is Eastern Conference, so I'll just talk
It's
about
one
this.
of each.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Spurs side. I kind of think this is an L for the Spurs.
I do too.
I think that Derek White is worth a little bit. I mean, maybe I'm wrong because they probably did shop him and they probably didn't get a good offer for him. Josh Richardson has been traded about as many years that he has spent in the NBA at this point. I mean, he's been traded from Miami to Philly to the Mavericks to now Boston and now to San Antonio. I mean, it's ridiculous. So again, if a player like Josh Richardson, who we at some point, all of us did think he was at least a quality NBA player, is going to make a comeback, it's probably going to be under Greg Popovich. So let's see what happens. Romeo Langford, another guy who just wasn't working out in Boston. Maybe he'll work out in San Antonio. Who knows? The 2022 first is a dub. I'll quickly go Boston side. They won this deal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like Derek White is a very much a quality basketball player. Like I actually been watching Derek White like a lot.
Derek White should have been a Maverick. You guys just don't get along with San Antonio. That's why the deal didn't happen. I mean, for real, like Derek White next to Marcus Smart makes no sense, but that's what they're gonna do because they traded Schroeder, right? So,
why does it make no sense? I'm curious.
Because neither one of them are creators on offense. They're both really good defenders, but offensively, Derek White's better than Marcus Smart offensively, but neither one of them are creators at the guard position.
Yeah, but Derek
White's
White
hurt
has
every 5 minutes.
Yeah, true. But like Derek White has improved as like in his playmaking. He's averaging about like 6 assists per game now. Like he has a pretty decent assist to turnover ratio. So I mean, I'm willing to I agree. Like Boston definitely did win this trade. The Spurs. I mean, I guess it depends on like how that pick ends up. Like with like it's top 4 protected, and I doubt that Boston's probably going to land that top 4. It's probably going to be mid lottery.
The NBA will rig it against them if they have to. Boston's not getting a top 4 pick.
No, right. They're not.
It's fuck the Celtics now and forever. Come on,
yeah, fuck this. Fuck the Celtics.
Listen,
all right, let's get grades on this.
Boston needed 2 big things from this NBA trade deadline. Well, 3 if they want to get under the tax, which they did do. Right? They needed a playmaking guard, and they needed someone who can help space the floor. Derek White is a fine playmaker from what Shaban said. I would not describe him as a playmaker, and he cannot space the floor at 31% from 3-on-5 attempts a game. That's why he doesn't make sense. I like him as a player. He just doesn't make sense.
All right.
I think the one piece that I'll add to this is so Celtics coach Ime Udoka was an assistant in San Antonio. So I think that there's a relationship there between him and Derek White, and maybe Ime whispered something a little to Brad, like, hey, if you guys are talking to San Antonio, throw in Derek's name. There's some familiarity there. And so maybe that was a factor in this deal happening.
Udoka might not make it to April. Okay, so let's move on, man. This trade's not that important.
Y'all have spent way too much time talking about a bullshit trade. So this next one gets grades only. 10 seconds. I really like this shit, all right?
Okay.
The Suns get Torrey Craig. The Pacers get Jalen Smith in a second. Safe grade.
I think it's an A and an A.
Yeah.
All right.
About the same. Yeah, same here.
Asad?
Yep. AA for me.
I'll give it a B because fuck Phoenix, and then an A for Indiana.
And moving on, Charlotte. Suns fan growing up, listener. You love Steve Nash.
I love Steve Nash.
Now it's like fuck the Suns forever, man.
It's just fuck Chris Paul. And then a trade I like a lot. Charlotte receives Montrezl Harrell in exchange for giving the Wizards Ish Smith and Vernon Carey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't mine, but I'm gonna give Charlotte an A and the Wizards a C.
So yeah, I would say this is a very solid trade for Charlotte. Defensively, like he's probably going to get exposed, like he's always like Montrez. I mean, he's probably going to get exposed like he always has. But now LaMelo Ball has a deadly pick and roll partner that he gets to play off of, and that's going to be really fun to watch.
Anything is better than Plumlee, right?
Agreed. For that reason that Shaban mentioned, because of Montrez's a little bit of a defensive liability, I would give Charlotte a B plus here. They definitely needed a big man, so they did that. They didn't give up very much, right? Vernon Carey, young asset. Ish Smith, who's been around the league for a while, solid player, but nothing too spectacular. And a 23 second round pick that they're getting through Boston. I think it was part of either the Gordon Hayward or the Kemba Walker trade. So
Ish Smith tweeted at the Wizards and was like, "Hey, is my parking pass still valid?" That's how long ago he wasn't.
Oh my God.
Not that long ago. It's an A plus. It's an A plus for the show. They give up nothing. They give up nothing that they were going to use anyway.
Yeah.
It's free, and they got a quality NBA player who's going to be a great locker room guy as well. Montrez is very loved by basically every teammate who's ever played with him, except for Kawhi Leonard, because he's a baby back bitch. Anyway,
So like,
All right, so guys, we have 2 trades left.
we got the big one, so we need to spend time here.
all right.
All right,
Break Shaban's heart,
let's
Case.
zone
Break
in.
Shaban's heart.
All right, look, I have 2 fingers up.
The one that
Shaban.
breaks Shaban's heart. That's the one I want to do.
Shaban, I'm gonna let
Just-
you pick
just-
which
just-
trade we decide first.
Just
Left
rip off the
or
Band-Aid.
right? All right, so we'll go Mavericks.
Yeah, just rip the Band-Aid. Just-
The
let's get it,
Wizards have received Kristaps Porzingis, aka the Unicorn,
The savior.
and a second in exchange for the Mavericks receiving Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. In other words, they traded a white guy for a white guy and a half.
Yeah. Let's go.
Listener, that was the call forward joke you were looking for. It's the Aryan Mavs.
Jesus, man.
All right, guys, this is an East-West deal. I want the West to go first, and then Asad, and then Shaban can take the floor. Safe, what do you have to say? You're smiling back there. Bro, you were so loud, your mic cut out for a
Kristaps
second.
Porzingis. In a vacuum, this is not an L for the Mavs. However, it is because Spencer Dinwiddie doesn't make sense in the Mavs. He's a decent NBA player, but the Mavericks, he makes no sense. He is by no means an elite or even a good passer. He's not a good defender. He's not a good three-point shooter. Jalen Brunson is better than him at pretty much everything and makes a lot less money. Now, the argument is that this is supposed to help the Mavericks have Jalen Brunson insurance. To be honest with you, this is barely even collision insurance. This is horrifying. Davis Bertans, we argued, was one of the worst contracts in NBA history.
5 years, $80 million.
Last NBA offseason, and he has only proven us right since then. Bertans, I will say, could potentially be a legitimately good fit for them offensively. Defensively, he's worse than most people with one leg. So don't worry about the defense. He's horrible. Kleba is better than him on defense and probably just about as good as him on offense. So basically what the Mavericks did was, hey, let's acquire 2 guys who are not as good and do basically the same things as 2 guys we already have that are already better than these other 2 guys, which is exactly what they did, who make a lot more money. Kristaps, the downside is obviously Bertans and Dinwiddie will never be better than Kristaps on his best day. The problem is Kristaps' best day was once a month. So for that reason, it's very difficult to
All right,
say,
I'm
hey,
going to quote Tim Legler here. Kristaps is called the Unicorn because he's so unique, but he's also called the Unicorn because you barely see him.
That's a good one.
Which is fair.
That's a really good one.
if Tim
Come
Legler
on,
over here,
you heard this joke before we started. Why did you laugh again like
because
that?
it's good the second time.
It's always good.
He's just laughing through the pain.
The Dallas Mavericks,
Uh-huh.
in my opinion, right here get a D plus. However,
That's generous.
here, no. Here's where it gets bounced from a D plus to a C. As of right now, Luka has a 50 piece just hours after Kristaps got traded. Luka clearly didn't fuck with this guy. So if Luka plays better because he's not there anymore, it's just a morale thing or a mentality thing. Dope. Good for you. C. Good for
Or
you.
Luca and KP are such good friends. He went to go help him pack and didn't have time to stop at McDonald's on the way to the game.
I'm gonna go with my theory over yours in this one case.
I like mine. All right, Asa, break it down for us real quick before we let the Mavs shirt take a go.
Yeah, I'm with.
Can I turn the shirt inside out really quick?
You wore it, motherfucker. You didn't have to.
Whatever you
do it.
want.
That was a
You knew what was
choice
gonna
you
happen.
made.
This was all you brought this upon yourself. Agreed with Safe here on the Mavs front, where the upside right now it stands at a D. That's the grade that I would give. It can turn into a C if Jalen Brunson does end up leaving, so they have some backup option in Spencer Dinwiddie. If Bertans magically becomes the 3-point shooter that he was 2 years ago before he got that albatross of a contract, then maybe that contract is somewhat justified. But those are all big ifs, right?
He got a unicorn of a contract.
Yeah, we don't know if that's going to happen.
Enough, bro.
For the Wizards, sides, I think the gamble is obviously it's a gamble. I don't think it's that bad. I would give the Wizards like a B minus. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, whenever he does play, is a decent basketball player. He's a good basketball player. He can be very good defensively if put in the right positions. His length, being at 7'3", his frame can give him the opportunity to be a great rim protector and a great defender. It's just whether he plays. Bertans wasn't playing anyway, right? He was getting DNP's coach's decision. Like they were just not playing him. The Wizards get off that awful contract. And I mean, not that Porzingis' contract is that much better. What is he owed? 30-something million next season?
He's got 2 years and 69.8 million left on his contract.
Yeah, about almost 70 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in terms of the value that you're getting per dollar, I think the opportunity is higher for Porzingis rather than Bertans and Dinwiddie, which is why I think the Wizards win this deal.
Yeah, without a question of a doubt. Real quickly, the Wizards, I think, get an A here because even worst case scenario, if Kristaps doesn't play basketball, which is not a reality in which I believe he won't, his contract is shorter than both Dinwiddie and Bertans. You've committed to all this money about mediocre ass basketball players and smaller. So yeah, it's like worst case scenario, he doesn't play for the Wizards. Don't matter. He'll be gone in 2 years and Bertans will still be on the Mavs for 2 more years after that.
Yikes.
All right, Shaban.
All right,
The floor is yours.
So I've been like kind of racking my head around like all day as like what would Nico Harrison be thinking? And in my honest take, I think the Mavericks are selling the season. I think that they know that I think they know that they did not get the value that they could have from Porzingis. And they picked up Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. And I think what they're going to do is that they're going to go to Luka and say, hey, look, we know that we're not going to be able to compete with the likes of Phoenix or Golden State or Utah or Denver or any of let alone make the finals or like at all. So just go out there and hoop, try to make Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans, because Luka's just that good of a playmaker. Just try to make them look as good as humanly possible. And then in the offseason, try to flip them. That's really the only reason. I mean, Kristaps wasn't really playing anyway. So by virtue of availability, this is an upgrade. But this is not the ideal. This is not a trade that would move the needle for the Mavericks in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, move it backwards.
I appreciate Shaban, your ability to attempt to create silver lining where there is none. I will say one thing. It was very funny. I saw on Twitter earlier today that supposedly Spencer Dinwiddie and Mark Cuban met on Saturday to talk about cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And then Mark Cuban proceeds to trade for him. Maybe Nico had nothing to do with this deal at all. Maybe Mark Cuban just wanted a buddy who he could talk with.
You know what, man?
Mark went up to Nico like, yo, Luka don't know English. He don't know finance. I met this dude on Saturday. who knows about NFTs. We gonna get him. I don't care what you have to say.
Okay. Let's talk about the big
All right,
one.
Shaban, grades.
Yeah, you guys nailed it. A for the Wizards, D for the Mavericks.
D for Dallas,
baby.
The big D.
The big D.
All right, Case. Do the big one, man.
This is the one everyone's wanted to talk about. Asad would not share his thoughts on our group chat. And then him not sharing made us not share. The Brooklyn Nets are receiving Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Ben Simmons 2.0 in Andre Drummond, a 2022 first round pick, which they can defer to 2023 if they'd like, and a 2027 first that's top 8 protected. The Sixers get James Harden, who's wanted out pretty clearly, and Millsap. It's a full East trade, guys, so you do have the floor, but
All
this
right.
trade's
Asa,
so
go
big
ahead,
that
man.
we're
It's all
jumping in.
you.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off my soliloquy by saying, first, I'm shocked. I did not think that this trade would actually happen when the reports
Wait,
came
can I
out.
cut you off real quick?
Yeah, go
Mine's
for it.
really quick and short.
Okay.
I called this shit the second James Harden got traded.
You did.
They would not make it through this year.
Mhm.
It would blow up, and there's going to be a clip out once Safe finally gets it to me.
I will have the clip for you. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But yes, listener,
All right, sorry
there's
about
video
that, Asad.
evidence
Go
he
ahead.
called that shit. Yeah, he did call it, which is quite funny.
Yeah. So I'm shocked that this deal actually happened. I was a little stunned. Well, I was very stunned when I got the notification. I struggled to get my work done for like 30 minutes because I was just in an utter shock.
Dude, I couldn't get work all done all day.
Imagine James Harden, perennial loser, affects your life this way, Asad.
Yeah, it's the sad hold. You see my background, you see what the hold has on me. Okay, so before we get into the actual breakdown of this trade, after 2019, when the Rockets lost, Daryl Morey was like, I'm out. I don't think we can win. James says, I agree. So Daryl says, okay, I'm going to peace out. James says, okay, that's fine. I'm going to find my way back to you, Daryl. Daryl's like, okay, that sounds good because I love you and I miss you. So he said, okay.
All right, we get that Shaban made a silver lining, but you're writing a fucking TV show.
Yeah, no,
This is,
I think I'll let
this
you
is a
review
whole
the
drama.
TV show once you hear how this all went down.
This is a Hallmark TV
This is
show.
a
right here.
multi-season drama.
So James,
it's got a beginning, a climax, and a
This is an
conclusion.
unfunny rom-com.
yeah,
Oh, no.
it's just tragedy. There's no happiness in this story at all. It's
No,
just-
there's no winning in this story.
fair enough. Very fair. So one interesting thing about this too is I didn't know this, but James Harden was very upset with Kevin Durant during his free agency before he signed with the Warriors, that Kevin didn't even take a meeting with the Rockets, and James thought that they were buddies. So apparently James and Kevin hadn't talked for years. So I think in the back of his head, James has always been kind of pissed off at KD, and this was a golden opportunity to get back at him. So he says he hits up KD. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna join you and Kyrie. Let's go get this ring. Let's do it. Last season happens. You know, Kyrie gets hurt. James gets hurt. They come close, but they fall short. This season becomes the shit show that it is, where Kyrie is not playing, Kevin gets hurt, and James is like, all right, Daryl, our master plan is happening. Keep in mind this whole time that James
Our
Harden loves
master
Houston.
plan.
He does not want to fuck over Houston, and he just wants to help them out. So because of this, he forced that trade to Brooklyn, taking all of Brooklyn's assets and giving them to Houston. So now Houston has three
Houston
picks.
Totally didn't bungle the whole thing by letting Jared Allen, Karis LeVert turn into nothing.
Well, that's just Tillman being cheap. So that's James has no control over
Sure.
that.
Or Houston just being a poverty franchise like we all know it is.
Yeah, so
They wanted
wanna
a
throw a
star
number
so
in there
badly,
real
and they got
quick.
Victor Oladipo, and look what happened.
the
Yeah.
scary hours
Oh,
big
baby.
three that Brooklyn so-called has that's behind me right now. They played 16 games together in 2 seasons.
That's the craziest part, isn't it?
And they were 13-3.
They looked so good
Yeah.
together. They just never played.
And
But
they were-
anyways,
Yeah, I mean
and they
that's
were
a
up-
real nice iPad, bro. That's a real nice iPad.
That's
And
to
they
finish
were
my
at
story, now Daryl and Daryl's love child James Harden are now united in
Ooh.
Philadelphia, and we will see what happens with this.
Can I throw a twist ending in for your story?
Go ahead.
It's all over Twitter, but a Harden, Embiid, Doc Rivers meltdown at the end of the season
It's guaranteed.
is gonna be fun to
It's
watch.
guaranteed. It's guaranteed. This was a really stupid move by James Harden. And the reason being is quite simple. If James Harden cared about winning NBA championships, which it seemed as though that was something that he wanted to do, it is hard to argue that this Nets situation, however fucked up and convoluted it may be, was not the best opportunity of his career. Now he does have to work harder, which we know he's not really privy to. He has to get into a much better shape than he ever was in Brooklyn and towards the end of his career in Houston.
Agreed.
He has to take basketball seriously. And although he has worked well with big men, Joel Embiid is the big man. Very different scenario. The MVP candidate Joel Embiid now has the ball more than most players do in the NBA. James Harden, when off ball, is absolutely horrible, atrocious, and basically a statue. So the way these two guys play basketball, separate from each other, doesn't seem conducive to how they will play basketball together. That might change. We thought it wouldn't change in Brooklyn, and yet Kyrie and James Harden seemed to make it work for the time that they did play together. They looked really good.
Yes, those 13 games.
But to be honest with you, like, I don't see a world in which James Harden wins an NBA championship for the remainder of his career. I just don't see it. If this was his best shot and he chose to go play with his, like,
Let me add in, he
like
has
you
opted in for next year as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then
46.3 million.
And Houston, Philly will have the right to sign him to that 5-year, $260 million contract.
Insane max. Yeah, when he's 38, he could be making he could be making $62 million at the age of 38, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Which I don't want James Harden at 33. You think I want him at 38? That's ridiculous. So they're gonna do it. We know they're gonna do it because, like us had said so nicely, the love child of James Harden and Daryl Morey is undeniable. I think this is so stupid. Now, for the deal itself,
I think Brooklyn won.
I think they both won because they both got what they wanted, right?
Right.
Daryl clearly wanted a top 30 basketball player. He ended up receiving a little bit better than what anybody would consider top 30. He got James Harden, and hopefully he got a healthier James Harden. We'll see. That is to be determined. We'll see. But he did get James Harden.
Hamstring feeling pretty loose, bro.
Right. He's probably going to play tomorrow or day after.
And
I'm fine now.
And credit to Daryl Morey, actually, because everybody, like myself included, was telling Daryl Morey to like take 30 cents on the dollar for Ben Simmons, like trade him for John Collins or trade him for like something, like trade him for like like a bunch of, like, try to get a house for him instead.
Come on, don't you worry, man. Don't you worry. He might still have traded him for 30 cents on the dollar. From what I hear from our CEO at Spotlight Sports Network, they got really good strip clubs in Philly. So maybe they still got 30 cents on the dollar. James Harden might be getting them 30-cent wings at the strip club down the street before games and after games. Brooklyn won.
Shit, if they got 30-cent wings, I'm moving to Philly.
I think Ben Simmons is a much better fit alongside Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving than James
Kevin
Harden.
Durant and vaccinated Kyrie Irving, which have not existed ever.
It's a big 2.5.
I mean, if they can make the playoffs, and if they,
it's a big 2.
I mean, like, make the playoffs, and if they stay in that between that 5 to 8 seed, then that would guarantee that Kyrie would play 4 out of the 7 games at least.
That's fucking sad. That's so sad.
What is it? This makes no sense to me. How, as a basketball team, do you maintain any cohesiveness when one of your best players doesn't play home games?
I think that's the big issue that James Harden had with the team, right?
This is the Wendy's.
Sir. The answer lies in your question. They've lost 8 straight NBA basketball games. They don't
9.
maintain you made it sound. How did they? No, they don't. The answer is they just.
Well, I guess that's the
safe.
That's
they just lost, by the way.
Sorry, 9 straight basketball games.
No, they did not.
9 straight basketball.
Weren't they winning in this game too? Weren't they?
They were winning this game.
They were up by like 9 or 8 or 9 at one point. Yes, and then they gave up the third quarter where they lost
at half,
31-19 in the third quarter.
Of course.
Oh my.
And
Kuzma's
a god now.
The piece of this trade for Brooklyn, obviously James Harden and Ben Simmons are the highlights. Brooklyn needed a big, and they got Andre Drummond. And Andre Drummond was playing a backup role to Joel Embiid, and he was playing really well in a backup role. And so now on a
As
team,
a Laker fan, let me tell you a little bit about Andre Drummond. He's been better in Philly. He's been a lot better in Philly.
As long as you don't ask post moves, just rebound and play defense.
Put some respect on Ben Simmons' 2.0 name.
I mean, Andre Drummond could look like Detroit Drummond. like in terms of his stats of averaging like 18 and 18 a game.
We
Because
thought Blake Griffin would
Shut
look like
the fuck
Detroit
up.
Blake Griffin.
Shut the fuck up, bro. He's probably not going to start for them anyway.
sure, but I mean, you have LaMarcus Aldridge, but LaMarcus Aldridge isn't going to play more than 20, 25 minutes a game.
LaMarcus has been a beast this NBA season, bro. I have
Yeah.
to give him credit where credit is due. We thought he was done. He looks great.
Yeah, he does look good, but
I think Seth Curry is the big get. Seth Curry more than Drummond is the big get.
yeah,
First off, it tells us a lot about the Joe Harris situation or lack thereof. Maybe he's done for the year. And Seth Curry is a solid fit. Now they've got plenty of floor spacing. They have no reason that they shouldn't get open shots. And Seth Curry is obviously a knockdown shooter, as Shaban, Dallas Maverick fan, so eloquently knows quite well. How's Moses Malone doing, Bray? So Moses Brown, who actually got cut today. Sorry, not Moses Malone. Yeah, it's a little tough in Dallas. It's okay. It's really bad for us Laker fans too. We didn't do shit today. I think this
Y'all tried your best.
I don't know if we did, but
Hey,
mean,
we
like,
didn't trade our
apparently
star
the-
player.
Apparently, the Lakers said no to John Wall for Russell Westbrook because of draft picks.
yeah, I think Houston wanted that 2027 first
yeah,
or
no,
some
I
semblance of
I
that.
personally think that was fucking stupid if the Lakers were going to throw a 2027 first in that deal. I don't think it made any sense to do it. And Houston, what we learned today about Houston is when they said we want first round picks, they meant it because they would rather just not do business than to not get a first round pick. They screwed Eric Gordon. I feel horrible for Eric Gordon.
I'm
That's
guessing
bull-
that
That's bullshit for Eric Gordon. By the
I'm
way.
guessing
Eric
that
Gordon
they just
and
didn't-
Christian Wood.
Christian Wood is so. I mean, Christian Wood's contract isn't that great.
But
and they
Christian Christian still got time and he's still
And they were
young.
gonna-
Eric
they would-
Gordon's having a great NBA season. He
Yeah.
deserves to be on a good basketball team.
agreed 100%. I'm guessing
That's
that
fucked
they
up.
just didn't get the value that they wanted, and so they
Fuck
were
the
just gonna-
value. He's gonna walk.
because his contract will.
Now
It's
you
like
get nothing.
it's like either get anything or
Yeah.
literally get nothing, and they just
Yeah.
chose to not get anything. What?
At
I
least
don't
get a
understand
second.
that.
Even if you weren't getting the first, at least get a second.
Get
or
something. At,
I
at
thought Phoenix-
258, pick up the best offer and take it.
I thought that Phoenix would try to at least throw something our way, but they ended up taking Aaron Holiday instead. But I thought Eric Gordon would have been a good fit in Phoenix as
Eric
well.
Gordon
just
would have been a
having
good fit on
Eric-
any contending basketball team. The Lakers we would have loved to have him. The Dallas Mavericks could use Eric Gordon. The Milwaukee Bucks, I mean, he could fit in anywhere. He's not a high ball handling shot taker anyway. He could fit in anywhere. It would be fine.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Houston did wrong by him, and we won't forget it.
All right, guys, closing arguments.
Well, I think we should grade the trade deadline as a whole.
That's what closing arguments means.
Fair enough. A+. I enjoyed this trade deadline. I
I'm
enjoyed it.
giving-
I know Shaban thought it was mid.
I thought it was mid to like in the like prior to like the
Shaban,
midday,
you know
but then-
nothing happens until after 1:00. You're sitting here at 12:30, be like, this trade deadline's mid as
You know what-
fuck. I'm like,
You know what it is? It's like
I'd say mid as
as-
fuck.
just
I'd
wait
say
a
it's
couple
been-
minutes.
I said it's been pretty mid.
how
then
is
it
that all that
became-
different
and
from
then it
mid as
became
fuck?
not mid very quickly.
You know, the cool thing about I think the trade deadline, people, especially once we hit like that 12:30, 1:00 range, like Shaban, but not even just Shaban, like
You
legitimate
get restless.
casual fans, right? Shaban is obviously not a casual NBA fan. He does a basketball podcast. They semi-successful one. But like casual NBA fans were like, oh, nothing's gonna happen. And the rest of us just in there going, just wait.
Like when
You
Shaban
need-
texted that,
You
like
need
I'm gonna
one
wait for a second.
move and everything happens, right? You just need it's like that coin machine at Dave and Buster's, right? You just need that one coin to drop and then it just
They all
deflects.
just start flooding in. Yeah.
Exactly. But you know what didn't flood in? The Lakers doing a goddamn thing today. I'm mad.
Either did
What?
the Knicks.
What was the most
Who cares
likely-
about the Knicks? They're not fucking contenders. We
What
thought
was-
we could be.
What
We're
was
not.
the most likely move?
I
in
thought
y'all's
I thought the
opinion
Knicks were
that
going to
Lakers
deal
could have
Julius
done?
Randle.
I proposed on @KsNBA on Twitter a great 3-way deal.
I
Ain't
don't know if that
nobody
was
like
great.
it.
I don't know if that was great. Case.
I mean, I don't know if it was like,
But it did
Got the
come
cam-
out
the cam-
closer.
the cam
Wait,
Reddish.
wait. Shaban, fuck you.
What?
Mavericks GM Nico Harrison says he sees his roster as, quote, set, suggesting he will not be looking at additions in the buyout market. Fuck you, Goran Dragic. You're going to be a Laker.
hey, you know what? I hope Goran Dragic does very well for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I can see your face is turning red. You're seething. I'm happy. The trade deadline was fun.
Dragic.
The trade deadline was fun. Obviously, as a Laker fan, I'm disappointed. As a Hawks fan, I'm also very disappointed because neither one of them did a damn thing, which was really disappointing.
For the Hawks, they probably it was a similar situation where they didn't get anything enough value because they have better assets, and whether that's
Also-
Kevin Herter, Bojan Bogdanovic, John Collins, some of the names that we've seen kind
No,
of
we have
on
Bogdan.
trades.
Boyan
Also,
plays
the
for
fact
Utah.
that like right after they made their only trade prior to the trade deadline, they went on an 8-game win streak,
think
and they were
that
just
was
like,
big,
actually, you
yeah.
know what, we good.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. They got better when they moved on from Cam. Maybe that's all they had to do. Maybe that was just
I didn't know that Cam was Cam that bad of a locker room presence?
I mean, look at the Knicks.
I mean, yeah, dude. Thibodeau won't even play him.
Yeah, that's
He's not even playing garbage time minutes, Shaban.
It's bad.
Damn, bro.
It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
He's like, I
also,
want
you were
more
asking-
minutes.
Also,
Gets
you were asking me
traded,
what?
no minutes.
I was asking what you and Case, what was the most likely move that if you had to put your money on a move that the Lakers would have made, what would it have been?
THT for a score.
I think from what we had heard the last couple of days, I thought there was a real chance of a THT for Cam Reddish move. I really did. I think that the Knicks, obviously, like we just talked about, they're not playing him. They don't care for it. THT was obviously something that could potentially help in the ball handling duties over there because he's still a good ball handler. He's just not a very good much else right now. And then if that didn't happen, it was really just a wing. I'm still a little shocked that they didn't go get. If you look at some of these guys who got traded today, a Justin Holiday or an Aaron Holiday who was literally traded just for cash considerations, Torrey Craig, a lot of these guys would have fit into LA just fine. What they need is defense, not even great defense, just people who will try on defense, right? And some type of scoring, whether it be 3-point scoring or down low, just something, right? What they needed to do was inject a little bit of energy is really the essence of what the Lakers needed. I'm not really convinced that would have made them overnight contenders per se, but they would be a better basketball team, right? We lost last night to the Portland Trailblazers, and I sat there and I sat there and I was like, I miss Melo. And in 2022, I should not have to miss Melo against the Portland Trailblazers, who are so clearly not interested in being a good
I was
basketball
so
team,
dejected
you know.
that I didn't even post on the group chat. I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna sit here. Then Asad made a joke, which I loved, but I told him I'm not in the mood.
But I think now as Laker fans, what we have to, I mean, we're literally, it's just hope, right? It's hope and maybe delusional hope at that, in
You know
which
what-
LeBron and AD can be
You know what
LeBron
a
and
very
AD.
popular saying is?
It's the hope
It's
that
the
kills
hope
you.
that kills.
Yeah. But no, look, the one thing I will say is this would be significantly worse if LeBron and AD had not won a championship already, right?
Honestly,
one-
it's pretty fucking bad.
No, but having one championship, because look, if I hate to even put it out in the ether, if LeBron does not win another ring for the Lakers, it will still have been a success that he was a Laker, right? He broke a ton.
And that Anthony Davis trade for all of those assets and all those players was worth
It
something.
was worth it because you play the game to win championships. They did indeed do that, right? They did do
guess.
that. You cannot win every year, but the Lakers are, I think, look, the biggest thing before LeBron got there is we were a laughing stock of the NBA, right? We
Well,
had
guess
no-
what we are now?
No, but they're afraid too, right? If we walk into the playoffs in whatever way, if we are a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis, nobody wants to play us in the first round. It doesn't mean we're going to win, but nobody wants to play us, right? They would rather play the Dallas Mavericks or even another team in the NBA over playing us, right? And so the hope, and again, Shaban, that wasn't a shot at you. I'm simply just saying, as a Dallas Mavericks fan, would you want to play a healthy Anthony Davis and LeBron James in the first round?
Absolutely fucking not.
Exactly. It's like the NBA is actually afraid, and as they should be, of 2 top 10 guys in the league being healthy and hungry. But it is nice that they did win one, so that when it's all said and done, if that's the only one, it's okay. It was a success. LeBron broke a ton of records as a Laker. Now we have to look forward to him breaking the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar regular season points record, which eventually he will. And then we got to sit here and hope that the worst bone bruise in NBA history with Kendrick Nunn ends up coming back and being something. And maybe Russ can pull a second half Houston Russ that he did a couple years ago.
All right,
And
look,
by the way, he
enough
did
of
in
this.
Washington too.
I'm hurting.
I don't
Safe.
care if you're hurting. We're talking
Take us
basketball. All right. Well, next week, listener, we're gonna do NBA awards because it's All-Star time, and that's what we're gonna talk about. Because talking about the All-Star game gets old very quickly, but NBA awards is more fun. In the meantime, listener, I hope you enjoyed the trade deadline and all the trades that I forced Kays and Shaban and us to talk through the last month or so. But Kays is very happy that now it's all said and done,
I don't
and
have to
trades
listen to
will
this
not
shit
be.
for 5 months.
Yeah, and trades will not be really a conversation until probably July or August at best. In the meantime, listener, thank you for listening to another episode of the Waterboy and Equipment Manager podcast. We'll see you next week. See ya.
Peace.
Later.
Bye.